أجمعين إن الحمد لله نحمده ونستعينه ونستغفره ونستهديه ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا وسيئات أعمالنا من يهده الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلل فلا هادي له وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدًا عبده ورسوله أرسله الله بالحق بشيرا ونذيرا وداعيا إلى الله بإذنه وسراجا منيرا اللهم صل وسلم وبارك على سيدنا محمد وعلى آل سيدنا محمد صلاة وسلاما دائمين متلازمين إلى يوم الدين. Amma ba'd, all praise and thanks are due to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We seek His forgiveness and His guidance as well as His assistance, and we take refuge with Allah from the evil within our souls and from the consequence of our misdeeds. Whoever Allah gives guidance to, none can mislead, and whoever He misleads, none can guide. I bear witness that there's nothing and no one worthy of worship besides Allah alone. He has no partners, and I bear witness that Muhammad, the son of Abdullah, sallallahu alayhi wa alihi wa sallam, is the servant and messenger. I ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to grant him peace and to extend to him our salutations on this blessed day. Just as we ask him to show peace to his family members, companions, and everyone who follows in goodness, shows goodwill into the meeting and a reckoning of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. It's related by both the Sahabi Abu Sa'id al-Khudri and Abdullah bin Abbas radiallahu anhuma that the last verse that was revealed to the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam was verse 281 from Surah Al-Baqarah, where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, بَعْدَ أَعُوذُ بِاللَّهِ مِنَ الشَّيْطَانِ الرَّجِيمِ وَاتَّقُوا يَوْمًا تُرْجَعُونَ فِيهِ إِلَى اللَّهِ واتقوا يوما ترجعون فيه إلى الله ثم توفى كل نفس ما كسبت وهم لا يظلمون. And take guard against a day wherein you will be returned to Allah, and every soul will be given the reward of all that it has earned, and no one will be wronged. According to one version or claim, this surah or this verse was revealed, and then 9 days later the Prophet ﷺ, he met his Lord. And according to another, it was after about 31 days. And there is disagreement, as we know, about what is the final or the last verse of the Quran revealed, but this is claimed to be one of those verses, and it's a verse which seems to be befitting of the conclusion of Revelation, that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala would remind the Messenger alayhi salatu wasalam, and then the believers by extension, that what is most important is your return to your Lord. What is most important is that you are prepared, that you have done all that you could in this life to shield yourself from Allah's punishment. Because when that time comes, everyone will be given exactly what they deserve. No one will be wronged at that time. And today, many people are commemorating the assassination of Malcolm X, February 21st. In 1965, the day when he was assassinated in the Audubon in New York. And you'll see many people speaking about Malcolm. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala show him mercy. Malcolm radiallahu anhu wa rahmatullahi alayhi would say, may Allah be pleased with him and be mercy with him, as we know, was a shaheed, it was a martyr. But he symbolizes great many things. None of us know what America or perhaps even the world would have been like if his life had not been taken, or the lives of others like him, like Dr. King and others in those years. But the shaheed, or the martyr, reminds us of all that is good about the human being. It shows us human capacity. It shows us how much the human being can endure. It reminds us of what spiritual strength truly looks like, of what courage looks like, what sincerity looks like. And as mentioned before, courage in particular doesn't mean the absence of fear. Courage means that in spite of the fear, that you do what is necessary in order to make things change, or to face your fears. You confront your fears. The martyr reminds us that there are some things that are just worth dying for. And we're told in the Quran in more than one place, لا تقولوا, do not say لمن يقتل في سبيل الله أموات. Do not say of those who are slain in the way of Allah that they are dead. بل أحياء عند ربهم يرزقون أو ولكن لا تشعرون. Rather, they are alive. They are alive right now. They are being given sustenance from their Lord. Or in one verse, they are alive, but you just don't perceive it. You don't realize it. You can't sense it. That these individuals are alive. They're alive in our hearts. They're alive in our memories. And then they're even alive in the lives of others who are living among us, who take or follow their examples. But other lessons we learn about the murder, other things we learn about the martyrs is that it shows us, or they show us what clarity of mission looks like. They show us what intelligence looked like. When we reflect upon, for instance, even his life, this individual coming from a broken family, coming up in a time where there are many different obstacles to the success of blacks and people like himself. Father being killed, his mother being placed into an insane asylum, and he and his brothers and sisters being split up until he grows up in a predominantly white school, and then eventually he goes to crime, and then he finds some enlightenment while he's in prison. And then he comes out and becomes this transformed individual, transformed by ideas that originate in Islam, even though some of those ideas were distorted or distortions of Islam, but he was empowered by Islam. That he saw hope in Islam, he saw strength in Islam, he saw clarity in Islam, he saw even the solution to America's race problem in Islam, as he would later say in his letter from Mecca, as we know, that only if the white man had become Muslim, then maybe it would change them, as it changed those white Muslims that I met when I was there in Mecca and in other places. He reminds us of all these things, that an individual, towards the end of his life, he was extremely poor. He had no help, just kicked out of his house burned down 1 week prior to his assassination, right? Had nothing really to provide his family with, or to leave them with. But again, it was a choice. There were choices that he made. It was because of his courage. But Allah reminds us that, again, the martyr, those who were slain in God's way, are not dead. They are still alive. In Surah Al-Baqarah, in verses 140, 53, 154, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, Ya ayyuhalladhina amanu ista'inu bis-sabri was-salah. O you who believe, seek assistance through sabr and salah, through patience and prayer. Inna Allah ma'as sabirin. Verily Allah, He is with the patient. وَلَا تَقُولُوا لِمَنْ يُقْتَلُ فِي سَبِيلِ اللَّهِ أَمْوَاتٌ بَلْ أَحْيَاءٌ وَلَكِنْ لَا تَشْعُرُونَ. And don't say of those who are slain in the way of God that they are dead. Rather, they are alive, but you just don't perceive it. And it's interesting that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala begins this verse by speaking of the importance of sabr and salah, of endurance, of patience, and then of prayer. That when you have a need, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala But what do? You take refuge in sabr and in prayer. That's what you take refuge in. You don't take refuge in fear or in anger. You don't take refuge in self-dependence, right? You don't take refuge in wailing and slapping your faces and tearing your clothing. Rather, when things get tough, that return to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that we bear the test patiently. And this is what the shaheed does. He shows us more than anyone else what these things look like. And one of the rewards of the shaheed, the martyr, as we learn, is that the shaheed will have no reckoning on Yawm al-Qiyamah. No reckoning. They won't be asked about their deeds. You remember you did this, you remember you did that, and then you did that, and you did that. All of us will be in that predicament. And we will be terrified, we'll be horrified. We won't know what the outcome will be of that, as we are reminded and shown everything that we had done in this life. But the shaheed, the martyr, doesn't have to worry about that. The martyr doesn't have to worry about that. Allah reminds us in the Quran, فَأَمَّا مَنْ أُوتِيَ كِتَابَهُ بِيَمِينِهِ فَسَوْفَ يُحَاسَبُ حِسَابًا يَسِيرًا وَيَنْقَلِبُ إِلَىٰ أَهْلِهِ مَسْرُورًا. Whoever is given his book of deeds or his records in his right hand, then that person will be given a like reckoning. And then he will return to his family filled with joy. Filled with joy. وَأَمَّا مَنْ أُوتِيَ كِتَابَهُ وَرَاءَ ظَهْرِهِ. But the one who is given their book behind his back, فَسَوْفَ يَدْعُو ثُبُورًا وَيَصْلَى سَعِيرًا. Then that person will practically ask to be wiped out of extinction. Fundamentally, this is what the verse is saying. And there's other verses similar to this. فَأَمَّا مَنْ أُوتِيَ كِتَابَهُ بِيَمِينِهِ فَيَقُولُ هَا مُقْرَأُ كِتَابِيَهْ. Whoever is given his record in his right hand, and that person will cry out, "Oh, look at my record. Read my record," because he's filled with glee. إِنِّي ظَنَنْتُ أَنِّي مُلَاقٍ حِسَابِيَهْ. I thought that I was about to meet my reckoning, that I thought it was all over for me. But Allah said, فَهُوَ فِي عِيشَةٍ رَاضِيَةٍ. But that person will be in a pleasing life. A life of satisfaction. Fi jannatin aliyah. And a garden up on high. And it continues. But it also talks about the other person. وَأَمَّا مَنْ أُوتِيَ كِتَابَهُ بِشِمَالِهِ فَيَقُولُ يَا لَيْتَنِي لَمْ أُوتَ كِتَابِيَهْ. And whoever, the one who's given his record in his left hand, that person will say, I wish I was never given my record. And it continues to talk about hisab, among other things, my wealth and my power. None of these things mean anything. But Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala reminds us of this. Ibn Kathir, in his tafsir, he says, أجبر ما يستعان به على تحمل المصائب الصبر والصلاة. That the best of things to bear affliction are patience and prayer. The Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, anytime, إِذَا حَزَبَهُ أَمْرٌ صَلَّى, as it said, at any time he was challenged by something, that he turned and prayed. Read about the battle of Badr. How much did the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam pray? Prayed and prayed and prayed and prayed and prayed, even though he knew that Allah promised him that he had one of two things. Right? Either victory or he would get the ghanima. But here, or the caravan. But here, the Prophet ﷺ, this was his sunnah. And among the things that help us to deal with tribulation, because sabr itself is we call it a polyvalent word. It's a word which can translate as endurance. It can translate as patience. It can translate as restraint, even, because there are three basic types of sabr. Sabrun ala ta'atillah, being patient upon Allah's obedience, meaning that we're consistent upon Allah's obedience, that we're consistent in good. Wa sabrun an ma'siyatillah, that we are patient in avoiding Allah's prohibitions. That meaning fundamentally we are again practicing self-restraint. وَصَبْرٌ عَلَىٰ الْمَصَائِبِ. And thirdly is that we show patience in the face of tribulation, that we endure, the people of endurance. But having a good opinion of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, it helps more than anything else. Truly having conviction about the reward in the akhirah. Truly understanding that in this realm, that you are not promised victory every single time. That even when you see trouble coming, especially the trouble that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He informs us of that will come. That what did it do to the Sahaba when they found out that the Ahzab, that they were coming to Medina? فَلَمَّا رَأَى الْمُؤْمِنُونَ أَحْزَابَ قَالُوا هَذَا مَا وَعَدَنَا اللَّهُ وَرَسُولُهُ وَصَدَقَ اللَّهُ وَرَسُولُهُ. When they saw the Confederates and they saw these parties coming, they saw them, they said that this is exactly what Allah and His Messenger had promised us. And Allah and His Messenger spoke the truth. وَمَا زَادَهُمْ إِلَّا إِيمَانًا وَتَسْلِيمًا. And it only increased them in their iman and their submission to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, by having the right idea, right opinion of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. This is why we find a hadith of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. He says, عَجَبًا لِلْمُؤْمِنِ لَا يَقْدِي اللَّهُ لَهُ قَضَاءٍ إِلَّا كَانَ خَيْرًا لَهُ. That how amazing is the affair of the believer, that Allah doesn't decree a thing for him except that it is good for him. إن أصابته سراء فشكر كان خيرا له. If some relief or good comes his way and he is grateful, then it is good for him. وإن أصابته ضراء فصبر كان خيرا له. And if an affliction and adversity afflicts him and he endures, then it is good for him. So that also contributes to helping us deal with things in this dunya. Our reliance on Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Ibn Ata'illah in his hikam, he says, مَا تَوَقَّفَ مَطْلَبٌ أَنْتَ طَالِبُهُ بِرَبِّكَ. That no aim that you pursue will be thwarted as long as you do so, you pursue it through your Lord. وَمَا تَيَسَّرَ مَطْلَبٌ أَنْتَ طَالِبُهُ بِنَفْسِكَ. And no thing or no aim that you pursue it through yourself will be easy. That when you put your trust in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, nothing will be difficult. When you put your trust in yourself, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will lead you to your own devices, and things will become difficult. Imam Ali ibn Hussein, Zayn al-Abidin, radiallahu anhu, is related, it was reported to have said, إِذَا جَمَعَ اللَّهُ الْأَوَّلِينَ وَالْآخِرِينَ يُنَادِي مُنَادٍ. When Allah, He gathers together the first and the last, someone will call out, usually a reference to an angel. An angel will call out, أَيْنَ الصَّابِرُونَ? Where are the patient ones? لِيَدْخُلُوا الْجَنَّةَ قَبْلَ حِسَابٍ. So that they can enter into the garden before the reckoning. قال فيقوم عنق من الناس فيتلقاهم الملائكة. And then a group of people will stand up, and the angels will come and then face them, and then will say, فيقولون إلى أين بني آدم? He said, where are you going, O sons of Adam? Where are you going? Because you can't just pass through, of course, a gate or through a particular stopping point without the angels questioning you. You need permission. Say, where are you going? فَيَقُولُونَ إِلَى Jannah. We're going to Jannah. That's where we're going. فَيَقُولُونَ قَبْلَ الْحِسَابِ. He said, before the reckoning, you're going into Jannah? قَالُوا نَعَمْ. Yes, that is what we're doing. قَالُوا وَمَنْ أَنْتُمْ. He said, and who are you? This is the angels telling to these people, who are you? قَالُوا نَحْنُ صَابِرُونَ. So we are the patient ones. We are the patient ones. قَالُوا فَمَا كَانَ صَبْرُكُمْ. It said, and what type of patience did you show? What is it that is indicative of your patience? قَالُوا صَبَرْنَا عَلَى طَاعَةِ اللَّهِ وَصَبَرْنَا عَنْ مَعْصِيَةِ اللَّهِ. It said that we remain patient upon obedience to God, and we avoided God's prohibitions. That we are patient upon avoiding His prohibitions. حَتَّى تَوَفَّانَا اللَّهِ. until Allah took our souls. قَالُوا أَنْتُمْ كَمَا قُلْتُمْ. He said, yes, it is as you say. أُدْخُلُوا الْجَنَّةِ. Enter the garden. فَنِعْمَ أَجْرُ الْعَامِلِينَ. And what a blessed reward for those who work. The Prophet ﷺ said, إِنَّ أَرْوَاحُ الشُّهَدَاءِ فِي حَوَاسِلِ طُيُورٍ خُضْرٍ تَسْتَشْرَحُ فِي الْجَنَّةِ حيث شاءت ثم تأوي إلى فناديل معلقة تحت العرش. The Prophet ﷺ said that the souls of the martyrs will be in the bellies of green birds, traveling throughout Jannah, wherever they want to. And then they would take refuge inside of lanterns which are hung up under the throne of God. فَأَطْلَعَ عَلَيْهِمْ رَبُّكَ بِإِطْلَاعَةٍ فَقَالَ مَاذَا تَبْغُونَ. And then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala turns his attention to them and says to them, what is it that you desire? What do you want? فَقَالَ يَا رَبَّنَا وَأَيُّ شَيْءٍ نَبْغِي بَقَدْ أَعْطَيْتَنَا مَا لَمْ تُطِعْ أَحَدًا مِنْ خَلْقِكَ. They say, oh Lord, what could we possibly want when you've given us what you've given no other of your creation? ثُمَّ عَادَ عَلَيْهِمْ بِمِثْلِ هَذَا. Then Allah will repeat this question to them. مَاذَا تَبْغُونَ. What is it that you want? What is it you desire? فَلَمَّا رَأَوْا أَنَّهُمْ لَا يُشْرَكُونَ مِنْ أَنْ يَسْأَلُوا قَالُوا نريد أن تردنا إلى الدار الدنيا فنقاتل في سبيلك حتى نقتل فيك مرة أخرى. And then once they realize that Allah will not allow them to not request something, they will say, what we want is for you to send us back to this world. Send us back to the dunya so that we can fight in your way and then be killed another time. Because I'm realizing how great this reward was for them. But Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala responds to them, إِنِّي كَتَبْتُ أَنَّهُمْ إِلَيْهَا لَا يَرْجِعُونَ. I have already decreed that they shall not return to it. What wonderful reward. نِعْمَ أَجْرُ عَامِلِينَ. What a blessed reward for those who work and those who do good. At any rate, and in summary, the martyrs, as I mentioned, that they remind us of so many things. They remind us of what it means to be sincere. They remind us of what it means to be committed to a mission. What it means to not lose faith in that mission. What it means to have courage, intelligence, and so many other things. So we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that He instill within us the spirit of the shuhada, the spirit of the martyrs, especially during such times when all these challenges we have of faith and so many other things. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that He bless Brother Malcolm and He have mercy on him and grant him Jannah, and also do the same to all other falling victims and falling martyrs. أقول قولي هذا وأستغفر الله لي ولكم ولسائر المسلمين والمسلمات. That's all. الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على أشرف الأنبياء وسيد المرسلين نبينا وحبيبنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. Naturally, we could talk about so many of the martyrs. Starting with the Sahaba, we could speak of Sumayya bint Khuyat, radiallahu anha, the first of the martyrs in Islam. This woman, Sumayya, who, although popular to common understanding, that she, in addition to Bilal, did not choose the option of hiding her face. There are Sahaba who recanted their faith under duress and under pressure. And the Prophet ﷺ said, yeah, don't worry about it, it's okay. As long as your heart was okay when you said that about me. Bilal ibn Rabah, radiallahu anhu, he refused. Sumayya also refused, radiallahu anha, and she's killed, as we know. among the greatest of the shuhada. It's not so much about how you live, but it is about how you die. All of us are going to die. And we have to ask ourselves, how serious did I take the blessing of Islam? This great blessing of Islam that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given us. How much importance have I given to it? How much importance have I given to the Quran in my life? How much of it do I even know, or even read, or understand? How much of it am I trying to make my moral constitution? That is to say that how often do we utilize Quranic criteria to judge things, to judge one another, to judge everything around us? Because when I look in our community, unfortunately, not everywhere, but in many places, that they say the Muslims have abandoned Islam, and Islam is just something, it's a badge, it's like a name, a title, that's all it is. It's a Muslim label. Is it a race? Is it a culture? No. People don't know how to think like a Muslim. And they don't know how to think like a Muslim because they don't study the things that inform Muslim thought, the Quran, the Sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ. Now people praise Malcolm today, rahmatullahi alayhi, but I believe that if Malcolm was still alive today, that quite many of us wouldn't like Malcolm. I don't believe that many of us would like Malcolm, because Malcolm would tell us like it is. He'll put us in our place. He will remind us of where we've gone wrong, and we wouldn't like it. He wouldn't like it. He said, no, you can't compromise on that issue. That's too important of an issue to compromise on, right? Even if you're afraid. He said, no, so what? So what? Somebody may do something physically harmful to you, physically. So what? Malcolm knew he was a goner. He even said it. I'm already a dead man. He knew it once he broke with the Nation of Islam, and he started to speak against Elijah Muhammad. And also started to speak against the American government, and he threatened to take the American government to the international courts for human rights violations. That he knew that his time was up. He was prepared for it. But in spite of that, I'm not compromising on this. The FBI came to him even after he left the Nation of Islam and tried to convince him to work against the Nation of Islam. And he recorded that meeting. And they told him, no, I will not help you against them. In spite of my differences with them, I will not help you against them. I don't need your money. No sellout. That was Malcolm, rahmatullahi alayhi. That was him. So I don't think that many of us would have liked Malcolm. Wallahu a'lam. But as the Quran tells us, we need to be preparing for that day. وَاتَّقُوا يَوْمًا تُرْجَعُونَ فِيهِ إِلَى اللَّهِ. And take guard against the day that you should return to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. ثُمَّ تُوَفَّى كُلُّ نَفْسٍ مَا كَسَبَتْ وَهُمْ لَا يُظْلَمُونَ. And every soul will be recompensed for all that it earned, and they will not be wronged. And they will not be wronged. In your heart, you know if you are done ill. In your heart, you know if you mean well. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala judge us by the states of our hearts, inshallah. Because often we are lost mentally and intellectually, but internally is our hearts be sincere. Sincerity is not enough, of course, especially not for leadership. But we hope that at least Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will look upon our hearts. We'll differ in this life. You're different with me. You don't have to agree with me with everything. But never question, hopefully I hope you'll never question my sincerity. And I'll try my best not to question your sincerity. Right? Because I know that even if you're wrong or I'm wrong, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He looks at our hearts. He looks at our hearts. And that means something to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Inna Allah wa malaikatahu yusalluna ala nabi. Ya ayyuha alladhina amanu sallu alayhi wa sallimu taslima. Allahumma a'izz al-islam wa muslimin. Allahumma a'izz al-islam wa muslimin. Allahumma a'izz al-islam wa muslimin. اللهم ردنا إلى دينك ردا جميلا. اللهم ردنا إلى دينك ردا جميلا. اللهم حبب إلينا الإيمان وزينه في قلوبنا وكره إلينا الكفر والفسوق والعصيان واجعلنا من الراشدين. ربنا تقبل منا إنك أنت السميع العليم وتب علينا إنك أنت التواب الرحيم. اللهم اغفر للمسلمين والمسلمات والمؤمنين والمؤمنات الأحياء منهم والأموات واغفر لنا اللهم معهم بفضلك وإحسانك يا أرحم الراحمين. ربنا إنا نسألك الجنة. اللهم ربنا إنا نسألك الجنة وما يقرب إليها من قول وعمل ونعوذ بك من النار وما يقرب إليها من قول وعمل. اللهم إنا نسألك من كل خير سأله منك محمد نبيك ونعوذ بك من كل شر استعاذك منه محمد نبيك. اللهم اغفر لنا ما قدمنا وما أخرنا وما أسررنا وما أعلنا وما أنت أعلم به منا. ربنا آتنا من لدنك رحمة وهيئ لنا من أمرنا رشدا. ربنا آتنا في الدنيا حسنة وفي الآخرة حسنة وقنا عذاب النار وقنا عذاب النار وقنا عذاب النار. وصل اللهم وسلم وبارك على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وأصحابه الأخيار وسلم تسليما كثيرا. وسبحان ربك رب العزة عما يصفون وسلام على المرسلين والحمد لله رب العالمين. أقم الصلاة.